Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and Crypto Wizard here put XRP treasure map. This is a great way for you to get the crypto police after you. You cannot say things like that. You can't refer to treasure maps and things like this. These are the type of word phrases that the crypto cancel culture does not like. You got to be careful, Crypto Wizard. But don't worry, I am here to show it because I see what your larger point is. He's got a chart here, and this is a chart guy, which I'm not, but he's showing, like, if you look back, the inception of XRP, and then back in 2018 when things blew up, and then he shows all the years that it's been flat and down and up and all that, and then shows right here. Okay, healthy bullish correction, dead cat bounce, healthy bullish correction, dead. And I think he's making the point. Remember, folks, as I sit here, I don't have to know anything about charting, but as I sit here, there is one thing that XRP has that it's never had since its inception, and that is regulatory clarity, and it's the only one. There's another thing that none of us have ever seen, and that is a utility bull run that is the result of having the regulatory clarity that you've never had. There's a reason that Bitcoin and Ethereum have gotten all this attention the last few years. They didn't even have real regulatory clarity. They had fake regulatory clarity, but there was an intentional creation of a perception that only those two had regulatory clarity while the rest of the market did not, and that is the reason most of the money flowed there. So the question you have to ask is, where does the money flow when only one digital asset has regulatory clarity in the United States of America? And this frees up the companies that could provide said utility by using XRP, could be announcing left and right any day, any moment, any second. That's where we are. Look at John Deaton. That's where we are. John Deaton appears to be in London. He said he was visiting with his daughters in London, and they told him to take a break from work. And then as soon as she says that, I start laughing, and she asks why, and he points across the street, and apparently there's a Ripple advertisement right there in London. Now, CNBC and all their Wall Street buddies and government buddies have gone in full motion to say to you and the world that a Fitch downgrade of U.S. credit worthiness, that's no big deal. They've even got Jamie Dimon to tell you.
As credit downgrade, Leslie Picker joins us now with highlights from her exclusive interview with JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Andrew. Dimon saying the Fitch decision to downgrade the U.S. rating, quote, doesn't matter that much. I then pressed him about his take on the core rationale behind the move, political brinksmanship.
Let me ask you a question. Does your credit rating matter? I know mine does. It affects a lot of things. But the U.S. credit rating, it doesn't matter because Jamie Dimon, Wall Street, and CNBC said so, and the government.
Deficits, and he told me Washington should just get rid of the debt ceiling completely. He believes businesses need certainty, and he thinks there's been a lack of it on the regulatory front.
We need certainty, policy. The stress test clearly didn't work. So we do 100 a week, they do 1, and they act like that's the real stress for the company. I'm far more worried about China and cyber than I am about that stress test. And I just think.
I'm worried about China. I'm worried about how in bed Wall Street, government, and all these banks are with China. That's what I'm worried about.
We don't have many conversations with them anymore. We should be having conversations with our regulators about what we're worried about, what they're worried about. There's almost none of that. So it's both lack of transparency and lack of conversation with real practitioners. A lot of people in ivory towers, a lot of opinions here, they've never been in the real world. I'd like to see them get in the boxing ring one day.
Please. Him talking about people in ivory towers. And then, of course, Janet Yellen came on to tell us that she just doesn't understand it. It makes no sense. But I thought that was entirely inappropriate to just show her talking. I thought it was much more appropriate to put her words, let you watch the U.S. debt clock while you listen to her words.
And our economy continues to grow. In the longer term, the United States remains the world's largest, most dynamic, and most innovative economy, with the strongest financial system in the world. Fitch's decision is puzzling in light of the economic strength we see in the United States. I strongly disagree with Fitch's decision, and I believe it is entirely unwarranted.
Entirely unwarranted as you watch the $32 trillion debt clock. Now, let's get a little common sense now that you've seen what these whack jobs in government, media, and Wall Street think.
2 days ago, credit rating agency Fitch downgraded the federal debt. Are we moving from the gradually stage to the suddenly stage? Fitch is one of the big three credit rating outfits, together with Moody's and S&P, and they dropped the federal government from their highest rating, AAA, to their second highest, AA+, adding they see a, quote, steady deterioration that could suggest more cuts to come if nothing improves. Now, given the federal deficit is up 170% on last year alone, in all likelihood, nothing will improve. The proximate cause of the downgrade, of course, was rising federal debt. Fitch estimates it will hit 118% of GDP by 2025, which is more than 2.5 times the AAA country median of 39%. So it was already a friend rating. Fitch cited the repeated last-minute debt ceiling standoffs amid 20 years of deterioration in, quote, fiscal and debt matters. Biden's staff added that January 6th was a factor, which Fitch didn't mention in their report, but extra points for creativity. Note, this kind of downgrade did happen once before, in the 2011 debt ceiling clash, that time by S&P. Because our nation is governed by laws, 2 weeks later, the federal government opened an investigation whether S&P caused...
You get the point. And then here's one from Peter Schiff, who makes a lot of sense. Fitch downgrading U.S. Treasuries to AA+, and from AAA, from AAA, is meaningless, as Treasuries are junk bonds. When it comes to rating sovereign credit, the primary risk is currency depreciation, not default. Given the trajectory of U.S. government deficit spending, a dollar collapse is inevitable. So collapse, inevitable. How about that? I'm writing that down. That's a thumbnail and a half right there. I've always believed that they were intentionally trying to collapse it. Now, this is interesting right here. If you've never seen this, I'm going to show you just the first part of this. This is how Ripple works.
Ripple is a system for making transactions on the internet. Other financial systems require handshakes, contracts, corporations, laws, audits, governments, and faith. Ripple only requires an algorithm. Ripple runs on a network of servers. At the heart of the network is the ledger. It is a distributed database, a database shared with all the servers in the Ripple network. It stores information about all Ripple accounts. A new ledger is created every few seconds. The most recent ledger is referred to as the last closed ledger. At any time, the last closed ledger is a perfect record of all Ripple accounts. A transaction is any proposed change to the ledger. Any server can introduce a transaction to the network. These transactions go out to all active Ripple servers. The servers automatically come to consensus about a set of transactions to apply to the ledger, creating a new last closed ledger. How does consensus work? Let's break it down.
I just wanted you to see that part. That's pretty simple explanation of how it all works. Now, let me tell you what's not simple is to decipher the mind of Michael Saylor. And here, I just have to disagree with him. Listen to what he says.
I want to get your thoughts on that, especially since we have seen regulators, the SEC, for example, cracking down on cryptocurrencies and exchanges in recent months. But Bitcoin has been the exception thus far. Can the case be made that Bitcoin is a commodity and doesn't require the same regulation as everything else, or is it coming?
There's universal consensus generally everywhere in the world across all parties that Bitcoin is a decentralized.
This is, I hate it when people do this. This is the thing politicians do all the time. They say, oh, it's generally agreed, all scientists agree that this and this. All people agree that this. These are like straw men type things where, oh yeah, and then it's like they're getting rid of any argument as to, or any debate as to, wait, that's not right. Well, that's what he's doing here. It's universally agreed that Bitcoin this.
Global asset that has value. It is without an issuer, and it is a digital commodity. In fact, it is
universally agreed would have to include the digital asset investor, and I'm here to tell you I'm not in that universe of agreement.
Gold standard of digital commodities. So you study Bitcoin to figure out how to create a digital commodity. There's also pretty general uncertainty and conflict and controversy surrounding the role of crypto exchanges, stable coins, digital securities, tokens, and DeFi. I don't think that uncertainty is going to be resolved anytime in the next 2 years. And the chair of the CFTC is correct in saying we do need a political solution coming from Congress. It's pretty clear that there's not going to be a quick solution coming directly from the regulators or organically from the industry. So we're waiting for political.
Now, if you remember, because I do, before the Ripple ruling came out, this guy and Max Kaiser and all them, XRP is a security and all this stuff, and they didn't care at all about Congress. And the reason they didn't is because they thought they had, just like the Ethereum gang thought that they had a free pass and a monopoly, which they now know they don't. These guys thought that they had the market all to themselves because only Bitcoin was designated as a commodity. So they didn't care about Congress and Congress passing anything. That's the reason you're seeing Congress scurrying around right now, is because they're getting phone calls from these Bitcoin maxis who have all their money in this Bitcoin pile of garbage, and they're saying, look, this could get really bad because now you got this thing that actually has a technology, and they're worried about the money flowing from Bitcoin to XRP. That's what they're worried about. That's why the Congress is scurrying around doing this. That's why guys like this all of a sudden care about Congress.
Leadership to resolve that ambiguity. Meanwhile, Bitcoin is the one unambiguous thing, right? It is the most certain thing and a very promising and innovative economy, but full of regulatory uncertainty. And so if you want to participate in the space, the way to do it is with Bitcoin.
Yeah, and of course, we're also looking for changes to those.
The way to do it's with XRP. It's the one. It's the only one with legal, with a decision or congressional or a bill passed. It's the only one. Bitcoin doesn't have it. Ethereum doesn't have it. Ethereum's got a Hinman speech. Bitcoin has whatever the opinion of the current people running the SEC and the CFTC, and that's the fact, Jack, and nobody wants to say it, so we'll just say it here. XRP, there is only one, and it is XRP. And that's a fact, Michael Saylor. Prove me wrong. There's a lot of people I saw irritated with this. Bitstamp tried to get some PR out of this XRP announcement that they supposedly had coming up today. They said this is going to take XRP next level. Apparently, level up your XRP with a permanent 2% APY. Lend XRP with confidence via Bitstamp earn lending. A lot of people thought that was a dud of an announcement. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family Bitstamp has a bit of a dud announcement today. Thanks for listening.